Warning, this story is going to enrage you.
Hi, everyone. I don't know how I'm going to say this. I just want to say thank you to all of you. Peanut was the best thing that ever happened to us. And we got confirmation that they put him down. I want to continue to fight this fight as much as I can, but we need all of you to come together and help us. Please continue to help us raise money for the ongoing legal battles and for our nonprofit so we can keep Peanut's name alive. Thank you all. We are going to continue to fight this battle. Again, we're not doing this to ask and plead and beg for money. That's not what this is about. We have a lot at stake here with our nonprofit and not finding the funding that we need to continue to help animals. So that's why we plead our case. Again, a lot of this fell on the back of a squirrel who is no longer with us because the government decided it was more important to take a fucking squirrel and a raccoon away from a very good family and a very good environment. Guys, we can't go further into our legal action, talking just yet, but just know that we are moving forward in that process. We have a group of well-versed people putting together a very, very nice civil case at the moment. There is a lot of moving pieces in this puzzle. There is a lot of questions that need to be asked. Like I said before, in this raid, there should have been nobody asking my wife her immigration status. There is no reason to ask for cameras in the house. You came here for a squirrel and a raccoon and you raided my house for 5 hours. So you need to explain to us why that happened. And so there are a lot of unanswered questions that we want answers to. And if we don't get those answers, somebody better answer the bell when it comes time. This is not going to stop here. We're not going to allow this state to get away with it. And again, we are not politically affiliated with anybody. So for anybody to think that we're taking a side here, we are not. We are taking the side of the animals that we lost on this tragic day. We're taking the side of the animals that we continue to rescue and continue to help the ones that we have at our sanctuary. And that's what I want everybody to understand. This is about animals and the unkind demise of two animals that did nothing but bring joy to this world. And we took their lives for what? We spent many, many dollars coming up with this investigation. The DEC officers came from Albany, which is 2 hours away. The state planned this. The state signed off on this. Multiple people in our government in the New York state signed off. They signed a death warrant for my two animals. And that's why we are sitting here today. Only tears my family apart, but Peanut was the cornerstone of our nonprofit animal rescue. And 10 to 12 DEC officers raided my house as if I was a drug dealer. I was sat outside my house for 5 hours. I had to get a police escort to my bathroom. I wasn't even allowed to feed my rescue horses breakfast or lunch. I was sat there like a criminal after they interrogated my wife to check out her immigration status, then proceeded to ask me if I had cameras in my house, then proceeded to go through every cabinet, nook, and cranny of my house for a squirrel and a raccoon. Got a search warrant. 4 departments and a judge signed off on a search warrant for a squirrel and a raccoon. And then they took them and killed them. We haven't a clue. We don't know who made the complaints. Again, Peanut was an indoor squirrel, not harming anybody. He's been with us for 7 years. Not a single complaint was ever filed for this animal. We had him for 7.5 years. He became the world's most famous squirrel. We weren't hiding him by any means. He was all over TikTok. He became the first squirrel on TikTok to ever hit 1 million followers. He did every news station around the world. He's helped people. He's helped kids gather joy. And then we started a nonprofit animal rescue called Peanut's Freedom Farm to help animals like Peanut fight a good fight when they're in a neglected case or they're sitting in a slaughter auction. and he was the cornerstone of our life and our organization. We used his platform to help raise money for the 300 animals we have at our sanctuary.
It is of my personal belief that the government should play a very minimal role in your life and in my life. I don't really want them involved in anything outside of doing what they're supposed to do from a societal expectation, but they like to get involved in other people's business, clearly. What I want to know is why a judge signed off on this. Now, the internet has done what the internet has done, and the internet has already put out all the information on the judge and some of the people involved with the DEC, specifically in New York, the Environmental Animal Services group that allegedly protect animals, but that's not what they do. You know, it's crazy to me that big organizations like this, right, that spew how important animals and the environment is, are always the first ones to do terrible things to animals. Have you ever noticed that? Like, just take a look at PETA. You know, whether you're on the vegan spectrum or not, PETA has been known to like euthanize hundreds and hundreds of animals that it couldn't take care of because they just can't deal with things properly, right? And here you have this family that's adopted this squirrel Peanut for 7 years because, for those of you who don't know, the mother squirrel was hit by a car, and a baby squirrel was left unattended and was going to die. So this man took the squirrel in, named him Peanut, got him back to health after 8 months, let him back out into the wild, and what happened? The squirrel came back to its owner, to its father, and he had a broken tail. So he's like, well, you know what? This squirrel can't take care of itself, so I'm just going to adopt it. And Peanut became a social media sensation, the first squirrel in history to build over 1 million followers on TikTok. That's significant. A squirrel. This squirrel was personal, it was docile, loving, cute. The videos on his TikTok speak for itself. I don't need to go into detail about how amazing this is to have an opportunity to raise a squirrel like this, but to have one so spunky with a personality and a character, right? And just to be able to see a squirrel interact in ways that we haven't really seen a squirrel interact with humans. Because it is a wild animal, but it's an innocent wild animal. This squirrel's not going to do anything to anybody. So the government busts down the guy's door, gives him a search warrant, searches his house, and allegedly they claim, the government, of course, which, you know, how much can we actually trust of them? The government, one of the officers apparently was bitten by Peanut the squirrel, which is why they took the squirrel and the raccoon, which I don't know why they had to take the raccoon, and euthanized them for rabies, allegedly. That's what's being claimed, which I didn't know that in order to test an animal for rabies that you had to put them down for that process. I'm pretty sure that's not how it works, but what do I know? I'm not an animal expert or a professional in that realm of things. Now, I did come across this comment, which I did do some research on rabies itself, and apparently this is true. There's been no actual recorded cases of a squirrel transmitting rabies. So that's a thing. Doesn't really surprise me that the government would try to use this as an excuse to cover something up that they did wrong, because welcome to a corrupt governmental system that doesn't care about you or anybody else other than destroying good things that people love. That's what the government does best. Now, I've also seen some detractors say, well, you know, this family should have had a license for the squirrel. They should have a license for the raccoon. Okay, even then, sure, the state getting involved, you need a license for this animal. The government can take the animal, and then when they get a license, give the animal back. Like, that's all you really have to do. But here's the thing about that, is that the government doesn't care about you. The government wants to punish its citizens, and this is a clear example of the government punishing its citizens. The government wants to punish you rather than help you. That much is clear all around the U.S., okay? This is not just even specific to an animal issue. If you know anything about how the VA works with its veterans, well, you know what I mean. I think it's barbaric that the government can just walk into your house with a piece of paper and then take the life of an animal. Like, that's scary to me. That's crazy. And here's the other thing, is that the government almost gets everything wrong almost all of the time. Why? You know, they're just following orders, guys. The government, these people who went in and did their job, they're just following orders. That's what they were told to do. You see, that in itself is the issue. Them just following orders. You have government officials who are robots, who just do what they're told regardless of the outcome of effect it has on people around them. People who cannot think logically for themselves, that just do what they're told regardless of who it harms. Government agencies are stupid. The people who run them are stupid. But it is a travesty that this was something that even happened. To take away somebody, to go into somebody's house and take away their animals, crazy. Like, I have a dog laying on my bed right over here, right? And if somebody busted down my door, even with a search warrant, and took my dog or tried to take my dog, I'm a firearm owner, man. I'm going to go to prison for manslaughter. And I don't care if it's a cop. I don't care if it's an FBI agent. I don't care who it is. You bust down my door and try to take my animal, there's going to be a firefight, and not verbally. Like, I will die for my animal. Like, you can't. Yeah, you've seen the documentary, Don't Screw with Cats, right? Like that stuff's crazy. People who harm animals, which is what the government did here. They harmed it. They took an animal out of an owner's house and euthanized it. They euthanized it. Why is it these organizations like PETA, they euthanize more than they actually save? Why do they do that? Why? You have a family that loves and cares and who has a nonprofit organization. Now, I've read some other statements, apparently government officials saying that the squirrel was being exploited. What, by social media? The squirrel was in a loving, happy home. Now, I have to say this allegedly, but a woman from Texas was the one who made anonymous reports towards his family because allegedly she was upset and jealous that a squirrel had more social media followers than her. I'm also of the personal belief that people who harm animals or who go out of their way to abandon animals, specifically, you know, those people, you see those videos, right, of people like driving on the highway or to a secluded area and somebody's Ring camera picks up somebody dropping their animal, their dog or cat or whatever, just off out in the middle of nowhere, right? But a camera caught them. And they get usually charged for things like that. But I know this is going to sound crazy, and I know this is an extreme take, but I'm going to just say what I say and say what I think, and this is what I believe. I'm telling the internet this is what I believe. People who abandon animals like that, okay, who drop an animal off in the middle of nowhere and drive away, dogs, they deserve to be put up on a stand, wrists bounded, right? And I think you should take a machete, and I am dead ass, slice their hands off. Slice their hands off. Right? Like, if you're willing to do the physical action of abandoning an animal or harming an animal or euthanizing an animal that does not deserve to be euthanized, there's no, overwhelming health issue with that animal, then that's what you deserve. The government should not be allowed to just bust down your door, walk in and say, hey, we're going to search your house for 5 hours for a raccoon and a squirrel because we got some anonymous reports, Sadly, our government doesn't really take reporting very seriously because this is how they would rather spend. We taxpayers would rather spend our money. The people of New York would rather spend your money giving it to these people who don't actually do things that they should be doing out in the world, maybe putting criminals in prison or doing things that their job actually entires, like actual animal abuse cases. But no, we got to focus on the squirrel because some woman from Texas decided to submit complaints. Allegedly, this is the woman, Monica Kaesler, but allegedly that's who this person was who got this squirrel and raccoon thrown into the government hands and euthanized. It's also alleged that she said that she wanted this rat put down because apparently she was jealous that the squirrel had more social media followers than her. Again, I say this all allegedly. This is what's out right now. The internet does get things wrong from time to time, but from what I've seen and the other information I've seen of this woman, Monica, you deserve the worst. In situations like this, where somebody is found to have done something horrible and getting a pet euthanized just because you can, I believe we should euthanize you, Monica. What an ugly name. What a Karen-y type of name. I think people like you, when the internet finds out who you are, and I don't say this about many folks, okay? This is a rare instance that I'm saying this, but this is an extreme case, and sometimes extreme cases deserve an extreme response. That's how I feel. People like Monica, right? I pray that every day the internet ruins your life. The internet doxes you. The internet goes above and beyond to ruin your life to a point that you can't operate on a day-to-day basis, that you feel so much guilt and shame for what you did that you take an object like this and you put it to your skull, okay? and you think about how much of a horrible, miserable piece of shit that you are, and you're not alive yourself. That's what I believe that you should do, Monica. Assuming this, you're the culprit who did this, which from everything that I've looked at, it seems like it's pretty fair the case that you're the one who did it. You're the one behind a large portion of all of this. That's what I hope you do. I hope your life is ruined. And I mean what I'm saying right now. I know it's an extreme take, but you know what? Again, extreme takes require extreme responses when people do extreme things. Because Peanut did not deserve to have his life taken away because of some woman from Texas who doesn't even live in the state wanting to get involved because of whatever reason, right? Anonymous complaints. But here's the thing about anonymous complaints, okay? I dealt with anonymous complaints myself. I had a whole legal issue last year. And with anonymous complaints, they're not anonymous, okay? They say anonymous, but you get a good lawyer, which apparently he has, you can actually subpoena the complaint forms of anonymous reporting. I know this because I did it myself in my own legal issue, and I had pre-knowledge that other people legally didn't know that I had. Because the reports through the anonymous reporting system gave their exact location, their IP address, and a bunch of other information that you have to go through. You have to pay a lot of money for, but you can subpoena anonymous report records. So I hope to God, if this man is watching this video by any chance, that's what you do, man. Have your lawyer subpoena whatever report form or whatever report the agency used for the reporting system. They have that information, and you can get it from a subpoena. And I would recommend doing that because then you can really find out who did this stuff, and the internet can really go ham and do what it deserves to do towards evil people like this woman, Monica. This man started a nonprofit organization for helping animals. This was all funded by the internet. You know, the internet is a tool for doing powerful things in the lives of people and animals, but it also, when one bad apple decides, hey, I don't like this, I am going to take away the joy of millions of people. You know, it only takes one bad apple to ruin the entire bunch. And it just happens to be that's what this is. It's sad, but this is the case that happened. And karma is going to get you. All right. People who reported this squirrel, karma's going to get you. And when it does, nobody's going to feel sorry for you. And reminder, there's always the option, okay, of this and this. That's the best result for you. Let evolution, let guilt, let shame, let internet crucifixion do its job and have your life ruined. Those are my thoughts. What do you think of this story? Peanut the squirrel, Fred the raccoon, their lives are gone, all because of the government. Because the government doesn't know how to properly do their resources and put money where it needs to be actually spent. And the judge, whew. Well, the judge, you got your own problem already. The internet's already doing what it's doing. You know, the consequences of your actions will have severe, lifelong internet repercussions, Mr. Judge. Deuces.